Well, hello, and welcome to the Worcestershire Provincial Grand Lodge's Taste of Christmas. I'm Greg Boughton. As you may know, our wonderful Christmas service at the Pershire Abbey has had to be cancelled due to these terrible times. But wishing to keep our Christmas traditions going, we've come up with this short programme which we hope you'll enjoy, with contributions from the Provincial Grand Master, Robert Vaughan, the Most Excellent Grand Superintendent, John Phoenix, David Day, our Charity Steward, and with musical from our Provincial Grand Organist, David Lane. Oh, I nearly forgot, the Reverend Justin Parker. How could anyone forget him? Well, that's it. So let's get on recording.
Brethren and companions, as we approach the end of 2020, I can only reflect on a year like no other. We have all experienced huge changes to our lives, both at home and at work. Many lives have been lost, and many others changed forever. But through all of this, our Freemasonry has stood firm and shines out as a beacon of hope for us all. Let us all pray that the hope we cherish at Christmas time and the anticipation of a new year will lead us to better times ahead and a resumption of a more normal life when we can share those friendships we hold so dear.
John has clearly described the challenges that have faced all of us during 2020. From the very beginning of the pandemic, I've been hugely impressed, but not at all surprised, by the way that lodges and chapters have responded by providing such generous support to our local communities and to each other. And for that, I thank you all very much. Having been kept apart for most of the year, John and I thought it would be a good idea to come together at the start of this festive season, even in this unconventional way. We're visiting two churches, St Mary the Virgin at Bromfield, where our Provincial Chaplain, the Reverend Justin Parker, will share his thoughts with us, I'm sure, on Christmas in his own inimitable way. And thanks to our Provincial Organist, David Lane, for not only his beautiful music, but for welcoming us to St Agatha's Church in Birmingham. St Agatha's is a very fitting and impressive memorial to its builder, John Bowen, a distinguished Freemason. He was born and brought up in the tiny hamlet of Rochford, near Tenbury Wells, and as a young man decided to walk to Birmingham in the hope of making his fortune there, rather in the way of Dick Whittington. Over the years that followed, he succeeded in doing exactly that. He eventually became High Sheriff of Worcestershire and a very, very generous benefactor. St Agatha's was consecrated by the Bishop of Worcester in 1901, and the foundation stone laid by the Earl of Dartmouth, the then Provincial Grand Master for Staffordshire. So the life of John Bowen perhaps is an example to us all in these difficult days of overcoming adversity and moving on to better times.
Just when I thought I was beginning to settle in as your charity steward for Worcestershire, everything changed. But amongst the bad news, there is good news. During this pandemic, with your help and generosity, we, as Freemasons, have been able to offer support to local organisations who have been at the forefront of assisting those in need. We have donated to over 50 local charities, from face masks to food banks, from blood bikes to buses for the elderly and disabled. Shown here are some of the many organisations who have benefited from the support of Freemasonry in the community. We're all aware that gift aid increases our donations by 25%, but the contribution from the Masonic Charitable Foundation, the MCF, has made your donation far exceed anything we could have hoped for. To put it simply, for every £1 we donated from the province, the MCF added another £3. We've always received more from the MCF than we donate, but this year has illustrated just how important they are to our brethren and to the province. Every application for support has been approved, and within 72 hours, the grant was on its way to the charity. Their support has been exemplary. The donation of 30 Galaxy tablets to Worcestershire Royal Hospital, enabling seriously ill patients to stay in touch with their loved ones, formed part of a joint initiative between the MCF and United Grand Lodge, which saw some 1,100 items of technology donated nationally. Overall, the MCF have given £3.6 million during this pandemic, and there is even more support on its way. Please continue your donations, they are vital. I know many Lodge charity stewards have worked hard to ensure that donations have continued, and I thank them for all that they are doing. It is so easy to donate, most importantly by regular giving, no matter how small. And now you can donate using the newly introduced QR code, enabling you to donate by phone. Thank you for putting forward the names of those local organisations where help was needed most, and for supporting me during this difficult period. I wish you and your family a joyous Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Brethren,
before we return to last-minute preparations and wrapping of presents, you'll be pleased to know, I'm sure, that the provinces of Worcestershire and Warwickshire came together recently in response to an appeal from the Birmingham Evening Mail newspaper for toys for the thousands or so children in homeless families spending Christmas in bed and breakfast accommodation this year. With the great help of the Masonic Charitable Foundation and your generosity, we have together given 1,000 teddy bears, rather like this chap here, to be distributed amongst those 1,000 children to try and make their Christmas day brighter than it otherwise would be.
I don't know about you, but one thing that this shocker of a year has made me better at is waiting. Waiting for lockdown to finish. Waiting to see friends and family. Waiting for summer. And now, waiting for the vaccine at last. Sometimes waiting is just awful. Perhaps you've been stuck inside. Perhaps alone or felt so. Perhaps just rather, well, bored. Then there's the ominous kind of waiting when you just know something is about to happen. When I was about 10 years old, on holiday in Wales, it was raining, of course. My father, mother, sister and I had a day out. Sitting in the front seat of our Volvo, next to my dad, we had bought chips. I had battered sausage and my sister and I each had a can of fizzy pop. Mine was Dr. Pepper, newly arrived from the States. How exciting! This was the turn of the 1970s to the 80s, so in good traditional fashion, the pop was all at room temperature. We parked the car in Camrose outside the chapel and started to eat, and I then opened my can of pop. Time stopped, then moved so slowly as what appeared to be a solid column of sparkling Dr. Pepper shot from the top of my can, struck the interior ceiling of the car and showered everyone. It must have taken milliseconds, but felt like an age of waiting for the impact. My father taught me some new and exciting words that day. But then there's the other kind of waiting. In the excellent film, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, Dr. Frankenfurter calls it anticipation. You know what I mean, that wonderful, excited, hopeful waiting. You had it as a child on Christmas Eve. Can I let you into a secret? You've still got it. Underneath all the time and the wrinkles and the cynicism and cares of age. Isaiah, the great prophet of our Advent and Christmas, knew all about waiting and heralded the coming Messiah and the hope for Christmas with these timeless words. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice, from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The joy that Isaiah foretold is still there, still with us, as is the much hoped for and long awaited joy of Christmas, if we just let it be. This year we've learned that buying things and spending money, fun as they might be, don't really fill the gap in our lives, don't satisfy the hunger that is deep within our souls for love and brotherhood and friendship and companionship and good old-fashioned fun. Now let's apply that to Christmas, the gift of love in the Christ child, which is yours and mine and freely given. So finish this sentence for yourself. Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without ... You'll think for a minute and realise that it isn't the Guns of Navarone or the Wizard of Oz on telly, or mince pies or whiskey, as much as those are good and holy things, of course. It's the love of family and friends, the company of those who really matter, and there you'll catch the real sparkle of Christmas and the love story which it really is, and your heart will fill up again, just as it did when you were a child. So this year, let's take a moment to think about that. Yes, we've listened to the pop songs, and we've all sung the carols, socially distanced, of course. We've heard the shops tell us what we really need to buy, and we've read the stories from the Bible. We've watched the Christmas specials, endlessly repeated, to give us a sense of eternity. And we've heard the meditations on the birth of our Lord. So what now? The late Sir John Betjeman and Eleanor Fargen, two poets, put it better than I ever could. The bells of waiting Advent ring, the tortoise stove is lit again, and lamp oil light across the night has caught the streaks of winter rain in many a stained glass window sheen, from Crimson Lake to Hooker's Green. The holly in the windy hedge and round the manor house the yew will soon be stripped to deck the ledge, the altar, font and arch and pew, so that the villagers can say the church looks nice on Christmas Day. Provincial public houses blaze and corporation tramcars clang. On lighted tenements I gaze where paper decorations hang, and bunting in the red town hall says, "Merry Christmas to you all." And London shops on Christmas Eve are strung with silver bells and flowers, as hurrying clerks the city leave for pigeon-haunted classic towers, and marble clouds go scudding by the many-steepled London sky. And girls in slacks remember dad, and oafish louts remember mum, and sleepless children's hearts are glad. And Christmas morning bells say, "Come," even to the shining ones who dwell safe in the Dorchester Hotel. And is it true? And is it true that most tremendous tale of all, seen in a stained glass window's hue, a baby in an ox's stall, the maker of the stars and sea, become a child on earth for me? And is it true? For if it is, no loving fingers tying strings around those tissued fripperies, the sweet and silly Christmas things, bath salts and inexpensive scent, and hideous tie so kindly meant. No love that in a family dwells, nor caroling in frosty air, nor all the steeple-shaking bells can with this simple truth compare, that God was man in Palestine and lives today in bread and wine. That being so, let faith and hope and charity get your heart ready. To prepare you, I pose Eleanor Fargen's question in verse. How will you your Christmas keep? Feasting, fasting, or asleep? Will you laugh or will you pray, or will you forget the day? Be it kept with joy or prayer, keep of either some to spare. Whatsoever brings the day, do not keep, but give away. So may the joy of the angels, the eagerness of the shepherds, the perseverance of the wise men, the obedience of Joseph and Mary, and the peace of the Christ child be yours this Christmas and always. And a Merry Christmas to you all when it comes.
From Stephanie and from me, to you all and to your families, do have the best Christmas that you possibly can have. And let's all hope for a much better 2021, and that during the course of the year we can meet again in the conventional way and in the way that we enjoy so much. Happy Christmas.
Just time for a few thank yous. So, I'd like to thank our Director of Photography, Sound Engineer and Editor, David Emery. To Brodie Swain for his creative input and enthusiasm and support, and to all the contributors, and last but not least to you for watching. So I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
or we could... Oops, great.
Whether will people catch on to it, Dave?
I need the words in a different place, unfortunately.
Would you mind if I start that again?
But no, I've got that wrong, sorry though.
Well, it's not complicated messages.
No.
And of course, we have Justin Parker, our provincial...
I can't put the one up that makes you look as if you just lost the plot.